It's a historic day for the Middle East and the USA. Two Arab nations signed a deal with Israel, brokered by President Trump to normalize relations. The president calls it a step in the right direction, but as Fox's John Roberts reports, the deal isn't as clear-cut as it may seem.
For the first time in 26 years, the Prime Minister of Israel sat down with representatives from Arab nations at the White House to formally establish diplomatic ties. Israel, the United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain today signing the Abraham Accords.
The people of the Middle East will no longer allow hatred of Israel to be fomented as an excuse for radicalism or extremism.
The path to today's historic moment began in May of 2017 when President Trump met with the leaders of 54 Arab and Muslim nations. His message then, put aside old differences and work toward the future. A future Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today said could be far different than the past 72 years.
This peace will eventually expand to include other Arab states, and ultimately it can end the Arab-Israeli conflict once and for all.
The strategy President Trump has deployed differs from previous presidents who pursued peace between Israel and the Palestinians as the first step toward broader Middle East peace. President Trump hopes to surround the Palestinians by bringing more Arab countries on board. He says he has 5 more who want to join immediately and drive the Palestinians to the bargaining table.
We've taken a very different path. You could say it's a back door, but I call it a smart door.
But Bahrain's foreign minister today cautioned the glue to hold together a lasting peace will be made by Israel and the Palestinians.
A just, comprehensive, and enduring two-state solution to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict will be the foundation, the bedrock of such peace.
And the deal isn't without its rough edges. President Trump today said he'd be happy to sell the UAE F-35 jets, the most advanced strike fighter in the world. The idea of that gives Israel heartburn.
I'm not that happy about the F-35s being available to the Emirates, mainly because of the proximity of the Emirates to the Iranians and the threat of that technology maybe finding its way into Iranian hands.
In a statement, Nancy Pelosi said Congress will be watching and monitoring to ensure that Israel can maintain its qualitative military edge in the region. The Senate minority leader didn't even mention the agreement until asked about it.
Does the president deserve credit for the Abraham Accords that were signed today at the White House?
Look, normalization of the relations between Israel and other countries is welcome news, but I want to see the details of the agreement.
President Trump also hopes that creating new relationships between Israel and its Arab neighbors will put more pressure on Iran to come back to the table and craft a new nuclear deal. And the president had a sharp warning for leaders in Tehran today amid reports that Iran is targeting U.S. diplomats for assassination as revenge for the killing of Qasem Soleimani. President Trump said if Iran hits the United States will hit back 1,000 times harder. At the White House, John Roberts, Fox News.